Hello, friends, and welcome to Talking with Famous People. My name is host Eric, and I'm the host of Talking with Famous People, and this video is titled, What I've Learned of INFJs from Rachel. So, I think I understand INFJs a lot better than I used to because of my varying interactions with Rachel. The first thing that comes to mind that I want to mention as something I've learned about INFJs from Rachel is that I'm going to type it in here too. Something along the lines of they can't stand anybody who's actively trying to manage FE. You're not what?
Not good at it.
Jean Grey says, I'm not. I just understand you better. Completely out of context. What? What are you talking about? Anyway, what I've learned of INFJs from Rachel, number one, is that they don't like you to manage FE. You're not Rachel. The title says, What I've Learned About INFJs from Rachel. You said, I'm not. I just understand you better. What is that? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what you're saying. So they don't like people to manage their FE. In other words, they want to believe that your display is authentic. They highly prioritize authenticity of display in others. Now, look, this is very useful. I didn't. Oh, okay. All right. I guess I understand you a little better right now. In others. So no, this conveys something also about the values of the slots. The reason Rachel and other INFJs highly prioritize authenticity in the displays of others, which is, thank you, Queen Blair. Queen Blair says I'm sexy as fuck, Rachel.
Yeah, you are.
The reason is because they utilize their tool function, FE, and it's most effective when they don't have to worry about whether the FI they're witnessing in others is authentic or designed to manage their perceptions. They're very good at reading through when somebody's trying to fake them out. That's why there's this expression, don't ever lie to an INFJ. One of the reasons why Rachel and I are ultimately, Alexander Cruz, happy birthday. I'm very sorry your boyfriend forgot your birthday. Remember, the day just started. He hasn't forgotten it yet. You got to give him a little time. All right.
Yes.
If you give me his number, I'll text him a reminder.
I would too.
Rachel will, because my phone's no longer operational at the moment.
Happy birthday. I hope you enjoy it.
Alexandra Cruz, today, the day of your birth, the day that will be celebrated every year for the rest of your life as your birthday. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so it's like they don't value authenticity inherently. They value authenticity in the displays of others, whereas an FI user values authenticity inherently. So, for example, you'll hear how an INFJ you'll hear how like an ENFP will say, "What matters, what's authentic to myself," and blah blah blah, blah. And well, I mean, how much have you conveyed to him that it was important that he remembered your birthday? Has this been a problem before? Have you made it clear that he better remember holidays and shit? The thing is this, Alexander Cruz. Even when women make that clear to me, it almost makes me less likely to do anything because I get resentful. It's like, fuck holidays. I hate them. I don't like this obligation. Intuitive, ethical introverts. That's INFJ. Listen, it's not dimensionality specific in the FI. It's because that's a mistake that socionics makes. You don't take that too seriously. I'm glad to hear that C.S. Joseph's child will have at least one good father. Sten.
Me too.
The real cause of it is their second slot FE, it's a tool function, It means the currency in which it's operating most of the time is other people's FI. They're reading and reacting to other people's FI. They're interfacing with other people's emotional displays and what they can read and intuit about other people's emotions. That's what they're interfacing with. And so when other people are trying to fake them out, they find it particularly offensive. It's like somebody trying to use bad logic or shit that's inconsistent with the truth in critiquing me, and then fucking trying to pretend as though this is evidence that I don't take critique well. No, it means I take critique very well. I can distinguish between your bullshit spite and actual critique. When actual critique is legitimate, then I will acknowledge it and own that shit.
I am so sorry, Alexander Cruz.
Okay, well, Alexander Cruz, I'm going to do you one better than just a happy birthday.
Yeah.
I'm also going to offer you a happy Earth Day in advance. That's many months in advance now, so that's a pretty good deal.
And
5 months in advance.
Yeah, and a happy birthday that you can listen to over and over if you want.
Okay, Alexander Cruz, are you some kind of SFJ? This SFJ clusterfuck of disaster you created for yourself is textbook SFJ mistake. Don't do that. And if you do that, don't have expectations that he's going to display his love in the same way. Why would you spend 10 hours cooking and buying him gifts? And a cake and a card on his birthday? He probably didn't want any of that shit.
Don't you think, but doesn't this play into like love languages? How
Yeah,
some people
totally.
express their love differently.
You're an INTP. Oh, you're Alpha Quadra. 4-slot FE, hurt feelings town. Okay, well, Alexander Cruz, you got to remember the reason people get upset at each other and the reason people freak out is when shit fails to uphold the prime directive. Yes, we did, Zalim Aswad. And may I just say, you were quite the asswad last night in the live chat. Those minuses and pluses are not meaningful, as I've explained before. For example, we can prove it with TI. I can use TI equally well to negate or affirm something. There's no meaningful distinction between the two. I use it both to ask questions and, everybody does. Everybody necessarily, unavoidably communicates when they give reasons via TI, both in the affirmation and in the negation. Thank you, Zalim.
Yes, thank you.
J4YN1CK5. I know you've told me how to pronounce your name many times before. Is it J Nix? Is it J Nix? The 4 is an A and the 1 is an I and the 5 is an S? I am asking a question with that statement.
Yeah.
I don't know what question you're asking.
And Alexander Cruz, you have every right to feel what you feel. You shouldn't think that you should be feeling any other way. Your feelings are valid.
It's why people have to be explicit in their communications about their expectations. Because it may be true that it's a reasonable expectation to expect your boyfriend to remember your birthday and say happy birthday.
That is reasonable.
I am not going to forget Rachel's birthday, but the only reason I'm not going to forget Rachel's birthday is because it's come up so many times in discussions of random shit. I still can't remember my parents' birthdays.
It's true. Yes. Yeah. You. Oh, ISTJ? I mean.
That's surprising. ISTJs, I'm surprised that Jeff, I can remember Jeff. Jeff's a good name.
Jeff is a good name.
It's nice and short. It's got a lot of J and F sound to it. Plus, the vowel sound Jeff. To remember your enemies' birthdays. So you can ruin it for them. See, I don't care about my birthday. It's like, this is part of the problem I have with Alpha Quadra. On Alpha Quadra women, ESFJs, ISFJs, they want you to think those things are important. And so they want to do stuff for you on your birthday and for it to make you very happy. But to me, I don't give a fuck about that day or this day or the other day or some special day or whatever. It's all days are the same to me.
I know.
But the point is, I don't mind being expected to care about Rachel's birthday. I do mind being expected to be super happy when somebody does a bunch of shit I don't want done for me on my birthday. I don't really care about my birthday. You don't need to make any big deal about it or whatever. If you don't remember my birthday, I won't have my feelings hurt.
Well, I want to do whatever you want to do for your birthday, but the only reason why I like people to celebrate my birthday is because it's in January and it gets passed over a lot.
Rachel, I am thrilled to have the opportunity to show you how enthusiastically I can embrace the celebration of your birthday.
Yes, I think it takes the person, right?
Okay, well, yeah, your boyfriend would have, Alexander Cruz, and that's what makes it totally fair for you to bust his ass about it.
Yeah,
because he's got FI third slot. If you're right about his type, he would have had his feelings hurt.
You gotta tell him. And there's nothing wrong with expressing this stuff. He may really be clueless to it.
Jean Grey, you're going to have to specify which Rachel you're talking to, first of all, because there's Chat Rachel and Real Rachel. Not that you're not real Chat Rachel, but you know.
Oh, Poopy me! I forgot to put the water in.
Rachel. You know, I care a lot about Arbor Day. Nobody celebrates it really, and my feelings are constantly hurt every year for the next following year until the following Arbor Day, where everyone forgets about it again. So, you're Rachel. Oh. Right. Jean Grey says that she jumped to a conclusion about you and she wants to let you know.
Oh, that's nice. I appreciate the comment. I mean, the sentiment.
What type do I hate the most? I hate the type of people who come in here with dishonest bullshit, attempts to be spite monkeys, and troll by slandering me as somebody who's not accountable or whatever. Fuck all y'all spite monkeys. Fuck all y'all spite monkeys. It's like that last video that I premiered. It's got like 51% thumbs up. Y'all got a Pornhub? No Pornhub. I don't know what that would be exactly. You mean like...
It's called yourmama.com.
Right. Anyone who does... I'm not going to name names. They all come in... spite monkeys are ashamed of themselves. They don't come in as their actual names and as actual people with pictures of themselves or ways that you can actually say, this is a human being I'm dealing with. They hide behind fake names and other shit like that. It's just how the spite monkey rolls. 010101. So is your name 2121 or is it 010101 010101 010101 010101 in decimal? Hmm. 1365? Is your name 1365 or is it 2121? I want to know. That was not our first real speed bump. That was our worst fight was not last night or yesterday. Our worst fight was the one before that, I think. I was more aware last night that I oughtn't take her words too literally in that moment because she's not accustomed to being in an environment that affords her a legitimate channel of diplomacy. If she has an actual concern or complaint, she's not accustomed to being heard or being able to be heard.
This is true.
She's accustomed to people trying to use whatever she does wrong against her. And so it's like when she feels as though, oh shit, I have a problem that I need to talk about. She assumes we should break up because I'm not going to hear her. Whatever she says wrong, I'm going to use against her. I'm going to rake her over the coals and beat her up and try to control her and try to nitpick and be ontologically toxic to her. But I'm not ever going to be that or do that. It's just not my style. So we just have to get accustomed to the fact that when we fight, we're fighting against other people. It's like she's not threatening to leave me. She's talking about her fears that this won't work out and she'll have to leave. And she's not trying to leverage me with that to make me behave this way or that way.
No.
She's trying to excuse it with things like someone else will be better for you, which pisses me off always.
I know.
She's not trying to use me at all. In fact, quite to the contrary, it's totally ineffective as a way of critiquing. And that's the other thing I want to bring up, which is the second thing I've learned about INFJs from Rachel, because that's the title of this video, is that their interests do not comprise a voter in debate terms. Okay? So what that means is you can't really appeal to their interests and say, look, this is practically in your interests, because they don't care about that. It's polar TE.
Not in the moment. Not in the moment when we're discussing it, but after a while, when we're decompressing, I do think of those TE things. It's important to be realistic.
It is important to be realistic, but ultimately it doesn't comprise a voter, even though you calculate it. And if you're not feeling it, that's it.
Yeah.
You're not going to use somebody who makes you feel bad for their utility to you and figure it's worth it.
They're on me, baby. After everything I've been through with my BF and dealing with his family, I can understand Rich's fears, but if you can get through it together, it can make it worth it in the end.
I mean, I understand her fears too, and I understand my fears as well, which are both based on experience ultimately. Neither of us have ultimately been able to rely on anybody before. That for Rachel, words were not worth listening to from other people because they used those words to get her trust and then betrayed it in one way or another.
Yeah. This is
because they weren't ENTPs, and they weren't ENTPs whose ontology is so built around sort of moral narrow paths shit.
Yeah.
It's like I got too much. For me, it is very conceivable to calculate things in terms of my interests, and I know ontologically I have too much of my self-concept built up around certain character descriptors to behave certain ways that would make those arguments impossible to sustain. And that's the advantage of being with an ENTP who is also like has as their ontological script rejected certain angles of attack. Because if you don't, if you're an unscrupulous ENTP, for example, you're willing to lie. We already have an unfair advantage, words-wise. We already have an argumentational advantage. If we make mistakes, we can usually get away with it. If other people make mistakes, they can't get away with it with us. So if we lie, if we aren't honest in our argumentation, we have an unfair advantage. And that's why we can't do that shit. It makes us wicked. Ultimately, this is true, Winston's mom. It must be hard as an adult to enter another person's family and then have nowhere to recharge. This needs to be addressed, and she will need more alone time. She needs to be comfortable saying no. Here's the thing, Winston's mom. The problem I have with hearing these sort of things from the chat is not that I disagree with the sentiment of it. I want to stress number one, in the status quo, I have already indicated to her and have demonstrated many times a willingness, eagerness to accommodate any such needs that she voices to me. Okay? So there is not any disagreement about what she needs or that it needs to be addressed, in the sense that if she's has insufficient time to be alone and recharge, then I want to facilitate her ability to do so as much as possible. At the same time, we are in kind of tight quarters here, and there are some things that are difficult to work around. Like this morning, if I'm up at 5:30 in the morning, I want to be on the computer. I don't want to be lying awake, silent in my bed, waiting for Rachel to wake up, right? So that's a challenge that we're going to have to deal with. But in the end of the day, the point is, there's nothing I can do differently to make her more comfortable saying no. I'm never in any way tried to dissuade her from saying no.
No, that has nothing to do with. That's me. Can I have the cutter? No, the Heidi. Yeah, because I'm gonna cut mine. Thank you.
No, we're not breaking up. Yeah, the thing is, it's easy squeezy when Rachel and I are both looking at reality. The reality is that a lot of what we were fighting about and that you guys are trying to fix here, which I appreciate and understand the urge to try to fix it, were problems that she anticipated, not that problems were actually manifest. So there was a day or two there where I'm sure Rachel would have liked more time to isolate, where circumstances made it such that she didn't end up insisting on that, right?
True.
She's not used to an environment that allows her to insist on that. She's certainly welcome to insist on that here.
I have definitely acknowledged that this is something that I have to work on. No, we're not breaking up. And I do believe that I am an INFJ. It makes a lot more sense than any typing that I ever have gotten before. So,
right. And I understand that Winston's mom as well. The thing is, it's important for everybody to recall that because I'm TI tool function, I have a tendency to over-literalize things that people say. Like, to assume that people mean exactly what they say, and that to the extent that there's a literal practical takeaway that's available to be taken away from it, that's what I'm intended to do with the discourse. This is a mistake on my part. It's implicit in my cognitive function bias, but it's an understandable mistake.
It is.
I'm just saying people must mean what they say. So
no, I did read.
This is true for sure. Winston's mom, and she says, "Oh, Derek, sometimes you try to talk things out long past the time the other person needs to shut down to recharge and think. You think out loud. Most people do not." I agree.
Brings up a point.
And this happened last night, and I said to Rachel on multiple occasions, I don't think me talking is going to do any good at this point. And I fell silent for long stretches. The thing was, Rachel wasn't done talking. It's hard for me not to respond when she's talking, and that causes us to sort of escalate because she's wanting something to land, like she's wanting to get across that she's not feeling okay right now, and I'm addressing everything she says as a literal argument of what she's saying. But that's not true, Rachel. I didn't do that. You're not talking about me. You're talking about the universal, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, when we're engaged in that moment, she's not really trying to convey the meanings she's saying.
No.
And I know that, but I'm afraid. And so I take it and go, you said this and meh, meh, meh.
Yeah. And then it's like, I try to convey how hurt I am by saying the words that will hurt. It's my inability to find the words that I actually want in the way that I'm feeling.
I'm saying what the red pillars say, but in nicer words. Well, PT, you're wrong, actually. She's definitely not SI polar, and she's definitely DE polar.
Yeah.
But I understand that you disagree.
No, I am TE polar. I am. The toughest people that I've. So who else is high in TE? Because ESTJs, I do. My whole life has been a conflict between ESTJs.
Well, Brian
No.
Goss, that's because you're not assessing your actual cognitive
Yeah.
functions. If you understood how extroverted intuition displays, it's pretty obvious she's not an extroverted intuitor. I mean, just listen to how she talks. She doesn't go this. On the other hand, this, but still also it could be this. She doesn't ever do that. It's all singular shit. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And how is she an extrovert? She's obviously not. I talk 7 times for every 1 time she talks.
You know, and
I was wrong then, philosophical thinker.
right. Well,
And it's natural to expect to initially type FE tool users as extroverts, because when they're in full-on tool mode, as they are when they're being typed by me, they are displaying a lot of FE, and they don't seem, quote unquote, introverted. I've never seen an INFJ say they couldn't stand ENFJs. Okay, so that's not a reason to type somebody as something. That's saying, look, I've never seen a sparrow that big before, so it must be a crow.
Right.
Well, that's not. What?
Exactly. I don't. It's just. I think I was passionate about it so much because I didn't identify with a lot
Look,
of them.
the thing is, it wasn't a bad typing. I did the best I
No.
could in an hour or so. As I've explained
Right.
before, I'm not perfect. Yes, Rachel's dead. I do get some people wrong. The thing is, the reason you should trust me as a typist more than anybody else is because I did change my type on her because I was wrong. I'm able to do that, unlike everybody else.
You even said yourself that you thought you didn't ask me as many SI questions as
I didn't push on the SI enough. I let her initial INFJ style not being able to pull up examples right off the top of her head, having to dig for them a bit. I assessed that as polar SI. In reality, that's what convinced me ultimately to an INFJ was I kept stubbing my metaphysical toe on examples of SI usage by her.
no.
I've seen ENFPs and INFPs say they couldn't stand ENFJs. Okay, so maybe she shares that particular quality. If you're going to look at correlates, say, normally in the correlation packet that contains like 100 correlates, correlate D is most commonly found in ENFP and INFP sets. But it's not exclusive to them, and it's not a reason to type her as either of those things when you have so much actual function analysis that you can use that's contradictory to that. She's a woman. Should not be held exclusively and universally as a justification for fewer stereotypes. You're a decent typer, Eric. I'm teasing. Thanks, Pete Wind. Decent is what I'm aiming for. That's the kind of high bar I aim for. I thought you were a perfect type of machine who communicates zeros and ones, Eric. Yeah, the perfect type of machines are the ones who are wrong.
Well, yeah, exactly. You're honest, at least. Sometimes you get it wrong.
Well, anonymous random zero, that's true. If someone pays me $100 and I get it wrong, they're not going to stay in my house for a couple weeks for me to figure it out. That's true. But here's the thing. If they're going to pay $100 to get typed, their best option is me. I'm most likely to get it right of any possible option. And I'm substantially more likely to get it right than any other possible option. So even though I'm not perfect, we don't have as an option Mr. Perfect Typer. Now, if we did, then you'd be right. It'd be wise of everyone to choose to pay that guy instead. But we only have actual options available to us, not imaginary ones.
I don't hate California. I don't hate it at all. It is a different city. That's it. It's just different, and I'm adjusting.
And Hambone, I want to make clear. Neither LA nor California gives a fuck what Rachel thinks.
They don't. Because
I've got my opinions about New York.
Right?
I don't even feel I need to voice them because New York is that little significance in my consciousness.
It's not It's good. They're both fine. Actually, to be honest with everyone, the United States is so homogenized. You could kind of drop yourself off, and the only way you can tell really is by accents and like horticulture.
I've never heard an INFJ or an ENFJ say they couldn't stand any type. That's awfully effy obtuse for them. Stop doing that jaw thing with. Okay, I will. I honestly thought she was an ENFJ from that typing video. I did too. Are there any ESFP or ENFP in Mensa? No. Unless they bribed their way in. I can relate with this talk too, Rachel.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
It's me ranting.
I like Jeff. I like Jeff as a name for you. It's so much easier to say than J4YN1CK5 or J-Nix. I have to transliterate it in my head to make it, because I'm not used to using those numbers as letters. Well, you know, Jeff, you could travel to parts that don't have any buildings and stuff called the wilderness. The wilderness is less homogenized. Different parts of wilderness are different from other parts of wilderness. I did hear Pukoki talk about INFPs. In fact, I type policed her, I believe, in a video in which she was explaining why she's not an INFP. And I watched her do that textbook INFJ thing where she says, I'm not an INFP because INFPs are so cool in this way and I'm not that cool. That's exactly what I saw her do. You have jaw problems? You need to go to the dentist?
I do too.
Have them take your jaws off.
Yeah, easy.
You don't need them.
It's also a problem.
Okay, but she didn't say that explicitly. You might be able to infer that. My ex was in Mensa and was a coke addict, ENTP, 100 pounds overweight, so I don't consider Mensa the pinnacle of
It's not.
I am an ENTP, but I'm neither in Mensa nor addicted to cocaine nor 100 pounds overweight. So that makes me not Alexandra Cruz's ex. Hypothetically, what type would be the smartest person in the world? Would the smartest person in the world be? INTJ or INTP? If you want to straight up just answer with the question, those are the two smartest types. It's okay to hate California. It's a desert state that's filled with anti-dam hippies who get all confused when the water starts to run out and the state government still listens to them.
Do you want to hear?
Well, you know what, me and Macrovage? California's deserts send this and this cactus all spiny up your butt.
When I touched down in LA and I was driving around with Eric, I had no idea how bad the drought was. I had no idea. All the pictures that you see in the movies do not represent a lot of what is going on in the natural state of California. I was very happy when it rained. I'm very happy when it rains.
What's a super id function? I'm curious. If you think Rachel's an ISFJ, then you must think Kimberly's an INFJ because the differences are stark. We're both dominate types. I mean, I would say it's true that I'm the most imperious type in Alpha Quadra, and she's naturally imperious because she's in Beta Quadra. We both have that quality. But I don't think we actually are testing each other usually.
I'm not fucking testing anything. I hate that shit.
She's not a guest in someone's home. She's my life partner, and this is our home.
Yeah.
She may feel like a guest in someone's home, though.
Sometimes.
And that's something that I would like to remedy. And I try to remedy as best I can by always, first of all, I never leverage any advantage against her. Like, I never try to pull like, well, that's mine, and you have to ask or some shit like that. Never, ever, ever.
No, it's not. It's my own getting used to things. I fit in well with people, but environments I have to get used to. Okay,
I want to switch the topic here, Rachel, to Jester's Court. This is something that periodically occurs as people come in and challenge my ENTP-hood. Here's the problem you have. All right, so you're either going to go ESTP, like, well, you're an ESTP, but if you're going to go that route, what's the distinction between ESTP and ENTP? How would you identify an actual ENTP? Or you're going to go ESFJ or ISFJ. Now, ISFJ, at least you get the third slot TI. So you can account for my incredibly robust TI. ESFJ, you get fourth slot TI and NI polar. Now, indisputably, I'm kind of all about NI. You just got to listen to my music. It's definitely seeking and holding up, almost fetishizing NI. And I definitely have some awareness of NI. NI ultimately is relevancy. What's the determinant factor in an argument, for example, versus a node that can be ignored is an NI question. So it's very difficult to claim that I'm an ESFJ because we know fourth slot TI struggles some with the conditional logic shit. I'm not an INFJ. I'm not razor sharp at it, but I'm pretty fucking good. I mean, I'm tearing apart this notion exclusively with introverted thinking. So, I mean, you can go with that, ESFJ. I've been typed as that before. That's probably the best mistyping.
I agree with that.
Because at least you can explain the level of extroversion. At least you can justify the obsession with extroverted intuition as some sort of third slot, absolute value that I'm trying to attain and whatever, except for the fact that the reason you're using that argument at all is because I introduced it to you because I came up with it because I'm an ENTP. Voltology is fine and dandy in the sense that everybody should feel as though they can make individuated, unarguable conclusions about other people based on visual cues. But it is never a reason to type somebody. It can't be because it can't be argumentationally defended. There's no link. The reason extroverted intuition displays like yeah is because extroverted intuition is the name we give to a kind of attention called ideation, and that's how it expresses. There's a definitional necessity and constraint of what extroverted intuition is, and how it displays follows from that definition. Now, how it displays visually does not. So there's no reason to conclude that because right now I'm looking at the camera for the whole time, and I could continue looking at the camera for a long period of time. Now, if we were to use Voltology, we conclude, if we were to watch this segment of the video, I must be an extroverted sensor. After all, I'm looking straight ahead, not looking around, not looking up for information, not looking down to lie, not looking to the left to remember things or to the right to whatever. I'm looking straight at the camera the whole time. So I must be extroverted sensing. Except that's not true. And this is not a strong enough indicator. And even if it were, it doesn't matter because it's not an indicator you can cite as a reason to conclude something. After all, there's no link as to why it would be the case that this physical indicator links to that particular function. There's no mechanical reasoning behind it. Okay, well then you explain it to me, Jester's Court. First of all, before you explain it to me, I would like you to revisit the issue of my ESFJ-hood. So I've just discussed the many reasons why you have to ignore TI or countervalue it strongly to view that I'm an ESFJ, because any consistency-based evaluation of the question concludes that my TI is much too strong for that. So do you agree with that? Or are you just throwing out random shit and then walking away from it, leaving trash on my table and pretending you didn't lay it down there?
And I'm happy that
Voltology is a tool everybody should use for their own purposes to type people, but never use as a reason to claim somebody's a certain type. No, I don't want you to email me. I don't want to read your fucking email. I don't even read emails I want to read.
this is true.
Fucking type it in here. You want to throw out the claim. Listen, if you're going to throw out the claim, come with the argumentation prepared to justify it. Otherwise, you're just playing, I'm a random noise spouter. I don't care about your fucking random noise. Is it justified or not? No, it's not. Okay, well then don't initiate those lines of conversation that you cannot possibly, according to you, fulfill because this 200 character limit. Even though you've got multiple instances of 200 characters, I don't know why you couldn't. You know? What's happening right now? I'm using my tool function TI to check and balance your out of control TE frame. SI bullshit rambling. What makes it SI? What do you think SI is? What do you, I mean, it's like your words convey to me that you have not done any definitional work. What do you mean SI? What refers to SI? Thank you, Isaiah Root. Isaiah Root mentioned my Argue with 5 Engines video was really informative. When Justice Court says this is SI bullshit rambling, he forgets that I am a professional arguer. So it's not bullshit rambling. They're extremely cogent arguments. They win the point. And right now, you are having the living shit schooled out of you. That's okay.
That's why you're here.
Everybody thinks they're immune, but they're not. My foot is an equal opportunity ass go upper.
It really is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten it.
Smash that like button.
Yes, smash.
I don't think so. That's what you came up with?
Well, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah, of course he is. I'm just saying, in this repartee,
I know.
You know, it's like,
I know.
Forward punch, that's the move you came up with? Come on, Justice Court, entertain me. Yeah, you do that. Ask Spacey.
Yeah, I'm definitely 784.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to fight with. I think that's another reason why our fights are.
Right. I want to express this. We have intentionally excluded all of the stale air from this live stream. So the fact that it is a breath of fresh air for you, Alexander Cruz, is not surprising. Oh, you know what?
I'm glad. And especially on your birthday. What? Scissoring? Oh, you know what a scissoring is now.
Okay, so Poopy Main, even if, let's say that's correct. And I appreciate you providing that that definition of it, or constraint of it.
I have heard of that.
I appreciate the definition. So the problem with that definition is, ontology is going to look at you for a certain stretch of time, but my eyes might not conform with their understanding of what the ideating process is. For example, if I were to tell you a poem that I made up on the spot right now, 1,000 years ago, I went inside a store. I saw 1,000,000 pigs. I bought 1,000,000 hogs. I went inside that store to get 1,000,000 dogs. Instead, I came out with a shit ton of bacon. I didn't.
Sorry, guys.
I didn't ID. I was ideating the whole time. I was making up as I go, but I was looking right at the camera the whole time. So you can see it's not necessary for you to have that expression of physicality if you choose not to. Now, contrast this with the TI test. It doesn't matter how hard you try. If you are an ESFP, you are going to fail that test miserably and demonstrate to me that you are TI polar. It doesn't matter how much you practice it. You will never be able to fake it. Same thing with the TI Dom. Unless you are willfully lying to me about your abilities, trying to make me think you're less able than you are, it is impossible to hide the fact that you're TI Dom. Your speed and ability to handle the processing of words into variables and back again is unmatched.
Thank you, Mel. Hello. And
I love Rachel's laugh too, Mel Hughes.
he makes me laugh a lot. It's one of the things that I enjoyed most about him.
Oh shoot, Ben is live. See ya. Good luck.
Who's Ben?
One of my competitors. Hey Ben, stop being live. You're stealing away my fake friend. Eric is the answer to Shekel's question. What is Shekel's question? I think it's 4, was it? I don't remember.
That's fucking funny.
There are 2 shekels to a. I don't remember the question. Thank you, Mel Hughes. I do think we have a great dynamic, and it's like when I say we aren't arguing about reality, what I mean is the thing that disrupts our dynamic is when something looks like a behavior that we've associated as a red flag from our dealings with others.
Yeah, I mean, and I do need to express myself. I'm learning. I'm learning, guys. This is,
I'm learning too.
I've had relationships in my past, and I worked through them by myself. It's way different when you come into a relationship and you actually work on things with another person. I'm growing, and that's why I'm staying, because maybe it is true that INFJs, when they close the door, it's done, but that's what I need to grow.
All right, Brian Goss says, how good is Rachel's TI in your opinion? Well, I still haven't I never have and have no interest in throwing a bunch of formal TI questions at her. But what I can tell you is I get to see how it plays out as a value in the value matrix in INFJ very clearly. Fairness is hugely important to her.
Yeah.
Especially if she thinks I've been unfair in some way. It is critically important that I remedy that by acknowledging the thing, admitting it, blah, 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 blah. In contrast, unfairness towards me is only an issue if I bring it up usually, or if she's been dramatically unfair and then feels guilty.
Yep.
So that's typical of third slot, whatever. I'm the same way with FE. I like to be the one who's shooting the FE into my veins, and only when I make dramatic FE mistakes do I throw a bunch of FE at other people. you know, so that's just third slot, and I love it because it's easy for me. You want a important, significant value that's easy for me to uphold. Fairness is easy squeezy for me to uphold. It'd be impossible for me not to uphold it. I'm super fair. It's one thing I have to offer. So if that's an important value to her, great. One important thing I have to offer is that I can acknowledge and take ownership when I've made a mistake or when I'm wrong. People come in here and want to critique me as somebody who won't admit when they're wrong. That's simply false.
No, you even after can I tell them about
Sure, tell whatever you want.
So even after my testing, I feel like you had a feeling that it wasn't conclusive because you said to me, like, I'll give you your $100 back, but it was, I paid for the service.
Alexander Cruz, exactly. We need to and will weather our storms because they are powerful storms, but brief. And ultimately, what I noticed is that really looked like a fucking horrible tornado hurricane thing. But the storms passed, and the town's not only undamaged, it seems to be well cleaned by the rain. That's the odd thing about it. It's like we have these big storms that are fairly brief, and they don't seem to do any lasting damage really after the fact. She may say some things that are hurtful, but nothing too bad, and she's usually happy to walk away from it after the fact.
That's a thing that I've learned about INFJs. The more I'm learning from you, the more I research who an INFJ is, and I see myself. One thing that they do say for INFJs is to not to pay attention to their words when they're angry, because their actions are much different from their words.
Okay, Sean Ryan Barron, Eric, you should watch roughly around 35 the last live stream. I feel is a good example of time when you aren't listening to and immediately critiquing or rather listening. Okay, I mean, I don't need to see it to agree with you that happens. It's something I was actively trying to figure out last night. In fact, it's like I wanted to talk, but I mean, look, I would. Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant okay. Never mind. Yeah, totally. I've been reflecting on it. It's what we've been talking about. In fact, it's like, how can I voice my own fears in ways that aren't critical?
Yeah,
it's difficult.
It is. We both said this morning that it was traumatic.
Yeah, it was.
The whole experience was traumatic. And maybe it was just a test for us. I don't know. But it was traumatic, and I don't think we were able. I know for me, I feel like I wasn't able to really process it enough. Now I realize after something like that, I really need to get more close to you physically, because it creates this like cocoon. And I didn't do that. I was just like, all right, we're alive, because this is where my head was at. We're alive after this. I was shocked and scared, so my adrenaline was pumped, and all I can think was, we're home, we're alive. That was tough.
Well, let me make an observation. I just had sort of an insight about this. We're both talking about our 4-slot function ultimately. The thing that distresses me the most is not having predictability, not having that which becomes familiar remain familiar and predictable. Okay, So when she threatens my SI, she talks about wanting to leave. She's threatening that which is familiar and predictable. What she's talking about is I failed her on an SE level on that road. And when she got down, she's saying, what I needed to do was reset the SE question with you. I need to hug you and be around you and be physical.
Yeah.
And instead, we got metaphysical. And I started talking about and she started talking, which threatened, in return for me threatening her SE sense of security, she threatened my SI sense of security. And what we realized at the end of the day was neither of our SE nor SI was actually insecure at any point. It was, we are associating equivalencies from previous relationships where neither our SI or our SE were safe.
Yeah.
They actually are safe here.
Yeah.
And the equivalencies, the things that look like systemic problems, because we've identified them as red flags of systemic problems from previous relationships, don't represent what they appear to represent in this relationship.
No, it was it was sensitive spots, right? I just, I know now that I guess I need a little bit more coddling than I think I do after when I'm upset.
Yeah, Hambone, I've thought about what it means for other types. Like for Rachel, it means she's valuing physical SE. That's to say, the shit that happened on the road and hugging and sex and stuff like that, and doing shit now, and me standing up to people if they're wrong and shit like that. She values that kind of immediacy SE more than she does following through on plans. In fact, she's willing to change plans that even she identifies as very important.
I find it fun sometimes. I really do.
So, for example,
it takes me out of the humdrum.
When you initially came, one of your sort of stipulations, I want to make sure I'm testing your SE follow through, Eric, was that we go to New York.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really care about that. It's instrumental. What she cares about is more the physical SE. And when the opportunity comes to go someplace else, or she rethinks it, maybe I want to take you in the spring. Yeah. Now all of a sudden, it's not critically important. So that's a perfect example of how SE reality is more important to her than SE metaphysicality. And how Thursday night, what happened was I disrupted her ability to self-soothe, which is through SE. I took her self-soother, SE physical, and turned it into a self-burner. And that's very upsetting. So for me, it would be like if Rachel took my shower right time and insisted on scrubbing with a really scrubbed brush and cold water. No, I'd be very upset about this. Like, you're not preventing me from self-soothing. I mean, you are preventing me from self-soothing. So that probably was what it felt like to her. I was preventing her from self-soothing because I took the SE thing and made what ought to be her treasured pacifier into, pacifier painted with lead paint. For INTP, they want the physical kind of FE, which means they'd love to stand in front of a crowd and get applause. They like to get laughs for their jokes. They like to engage, talk with people. They don't really care about managing their perceptions in ways that are static. They like to engage in the interface.
Yes, they're tough. They're tough with that.
Okay. Let's wrap this up on the grounds that my parents are probably back. Or actually, can you go look and see if they're back? Can you go check see if the car's here?
Yes.
Just check the driveway. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. What would be cool is if your name, Jeff, was short for Jefframe instead of Jeffrey. Jefframe would be a better kind of, well, I mean, it's what you need it's what you need for relief. If you're an NI-DOM, you need physical doing. Actuality is a relief from your knowing, And if you're an NE-DOM, you need physical body reality as a relief from your metaphysical self being always in overdrive. Jefframe, right. Jefframe is one of the least spoken about angels. Okay. He had the watery sword. You've heard about Michael and his fiery sword? Well, obviously there's an equivalent. Jefframe has the watery sword. The problem with the watery sword is it just gets people wet. it doesn't really do anything else. And people go like, "Hey, go ahead, Jeffrey, hit me with your watery sword." And Jeffrey has just given up even trying to pretend it's anything. He's just, fuck it, no, I'm not going to. Fine, do what you want. Can I learn about him on the new hit drama Evil? I'm not familiar with that new hit drama. But Jeffrey's Water Sword Conundrum is the title of his autobiography. Eric, Rachel, I'm happy today is today for you. Good to know you're both still fit. You are a good fit, and everything worth having is worth working and taking care of. Take care of yourselves first. Well, through that.
Yep, I'm learning that too. We're learning that.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. I know that. I think I could speak for both of us when we really do appreciate, the kind words.
We appreciate the people who are well-intentioned in their comments, regardless of what they are. And for those of you who are positive and encouraging, we greatly appreciate that as well. Especially, I appreciate it because I know that Rachel is more influenced by external perceptions than I am. And so, bad comments kind of sting her a little more than they sting me. And good comments kind of reassure her more than they reassure me. And so I appreciate it for on her behalf.
I just, I like to present myself authentic.
Yes.
I can't even say it.
Isaiah Rude, yes, you do. Chris Chapman, she and I mentioned you in our conversation this morning.
Yes,
somebody we appreciated. We actually said your name to each other this morning, talking about appreciating what you guys said.
And what do you got for us, Alexander Cruz?
She wants some last advice about this birthday situation.
It's fair. It's her birthday. I think we should give her.
All right. So what's the last advice? I would say to him, I would shoot him a text or something right now. Today's my birthday. My feelings are hurt. It would be great if you would scramble a little bit to try to remedy this.
That's a great way of putting it. Put the ball in his court.
What did he type you as? Team Grape? Okay. Oh, I mean, is he there with you right now? Oh, it's Saturday. I forgot. You're not at work, probably. Yeah, you should just go over there and you should write it down on a piece of paper and hand it to him. That's what you should do. Rather than initiating a conversation, let him read it and think about it for a second.
Yeah, because sometimes people get more across in written words than they do.
Then leave him a note that he'll see when he wakes up. It says what I said.
Yeah.
Isaiah Rude, you typed Eileen and you think she's INTJ? Cool. I mean, I've never typed her, so I don't know. I have said before, I don't think she's INTJ. I think she's an INFP or an INTP, but I don't know. So maybe you're right.
You know what, Alexander Cruz?
Well, that changes things.
I know. My advice to you is to go and do something that you really want to do for your birthday. Whatever that is, whatever you really like doing. I know for my birthday, I spend a lot of them alone. But I always do something that I really, really enjoy doing on my birthday.
Alexander Cruz, we know what you're thinking. 6 gigolos and an 8-ball of Coke. Go for it.
Go for it.
You do that, okay?
Enjoy it. Whatever you do, enjoy it.
I want 2 of you in each hole.
And if you want to cry about it, it's your birthday, so you can.
2 gigolos per hole, please.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And then put it on your boyfriend's credit card. But yes, I will. Prank. A prank is a good one. What do they call please remember to take someone. I will, Octavius. That is good advice. I'm recognizing when I do need to take care of myself a little bit more than I have. In New York, I was alone a lot, so I didn't really have to interact too much with.
When you're done, can you push end string?
Sure, we're basically done. But yeah, so I'm learning, which is good. I'm good. Okay, my girlfriend told me to do that, and I think I'm gonna just put it on his credit card. I mean, and then maybe he'll realize, oh, it was her fucking birthday. Go for it. Go wild. Treat yourself. You should really treat yourself. You should. Your birthday, if it's important to you, You should do what makes you happy and then use his credit card for it. All right, we got to go handle. Thanks, Jim B. Yeah. What are your TE tester, Mr. Rude? Okay. We got to go help out with his parents right now. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and hope to see you soon. Bye.